Hi guys, it's me Lewis, and today I'm here to do a little video on a look back on the whole Chris Chan saga, and also the fact and also his dangerous addiction to obviously and also dangerous addiction to the pornographic industry. So if you wanna skip to the porn addiction part of this video, the timestamp will be in the comment section down below if you guys want to go and check it out. So we're gonna start off with the whole scenario of how Chris was brought up and how it came to a horrific end in the saga. So now of course, this was a video that I was planning to do for a good few number of months now, but I want to wait out until the time was right, considering the fact that I want to get more information on Chris, because since he was writing these bizarre yet unhinged fucking letters, which I'm sure all of us have saw by now. So let's start off from the very beginning as to what made Chris into the monster that he is today. So let's start off with his upbringing. So of course, as we all know, Chris was a quite a different child compared to the other kids that Bob and Bob brought up in the world and just decided to fucking abandon them because why the fuck not? So Chris's upbringing. During around, of course, at a very young age, of course, he claimed that obviously he was abused by his babysitter who locked him in a closet, and of course that's kind of like caused him to go into speech therapy, which, okay, fair enough, understandable. Which, of course, during those particular time periods, of course, individuals like that just didn't give a shit about taking care of kids. All they cared about was just fucking grabbing the money and just telling the kids to fuck off and go somewhere else. But the biggest downside to Chris's upbringing is his parents' way of thinking on how they should raise their children. And I am genuinely surprised that the Chandler extended family, especially Chris's half-brother Cole Smithy, didn't end up the same way as what Chris did. Now, of course, Chris was a religious individual. He grew up with obviously a religious parents. Of course, he went to a church every Sunday before obviously he was banned from a particular obviously reason of harassment and whatnot, and it kind of like boils down to how Chris's mindset worked. And I think one of the scariest things to note about Chris is not only did his parents enable his crazed antics, especially during childhood, but also the fact that they would come to his defense when he did something wrong, because that was practically implying that Chris is a golden child. That's literally how they were raising them. Now, of course, any parent would come in to defend their child or children. Which, okay, that's part of the instinct as a parent. Like that's how it works. But at the same time, if your kid is doing something wrong while the evidence is there for everyone to see, you need to look at that and go, okay, my kid fucked up. I need to give them discipline. I need to fucking stop them from doing something incredibly fucking stupid. Otherwise, it's going to get worse in the future. And unfortunately, his parents didn't fucking do that. Which, like I said, they enabled that shit. They encouraged him to go further. And I think, since Chris is of course a Christian individual, like his parents, and a very old fashioned Christian, mind you, like obviously with the homophobic and racist bullshit which he copied from his dad. No fucking surprise there. I think one of the second scary things to note about Chris is that anything that he adores in his life, it has to be formed into some type of prophecy. It has to be formed into some type of religion. Not it like for like examples. The fucking animatronic accidentally mistook his name from Christian to Chris, and they and they completely obviously and they thought, oh my god, it's a blessing from God. He should be called Chris. Oh my god, it's amazing. Like no, it's just a fucking it's a fucking guy through a microphone through an animatronic robotic bear getting his name wrong. Like it's a mistake that all humans make. It's part of the human mind, and that's what they didn't seem to grasp at all, which of course made them look insane. It made them look more mentally, deranged from reality. But to add insult to injury with that, they even went as far to Chris actually, he went as far to even see some beloved franchises like Sonic, Mario, Pokemon, and sadly Bionicle, which yes he was into that shit as well, which kind of really pissed me the fuck off, because I'm a Bionicle fan myself, and since he was part of it, that kind of makes me want to fucking vomit. Even he saw that shit as a type of prophecy, and I will never understand that. Yeah, sure. I like video games. I like comics. I like all that shit. I think it's fucking awesome. But the thing is, though, people like me don't fucking worship that shit, because the thing is, though, it common sense was never a thing for Chris. It never was a potential thing that need to be burned into his brain. It never became what it should be, and of course down the line, of course during his college years, he was a very uncreative prat. He basically took other people's work and made it into a bastardization of what it originally was, and of course with the whole Sonic franchise, that's probably what it became. And it not only became a bastardization of someone else's work, it also became like this horrible, disgusting, overfilled, lust, degenerate garbage. And when you look at the comics that he fucking put out online, which 4chan got wind of, you start to realize that, yeah, this is where things start to go from obviously, kind of concerning to slightly hilarious. Because if this comic was made by a 7-year-old, for example, then okay, 4chan would have left him alone. But the problem is, this was made by a guy who suffers from a disability, and doesn't even know the difference between right and wrong. He doesn't understand the negative side of the internet, because unfortunately his parents boxed him into a world of positivity, and things will go well for him in his life, and that's not how the fucking world works. And to make matters even worse, though, is that of course, yeah, the 4chan trolls were mocking him for the right reasons, and I mean the right fucking reasons, because throughout Chris's life, all he cared about was just getting laid, and of course, like I mentioned earlier on in this video, we will get to that porn addiction shit later on. So during the 2000s, the trolls from 4chan were basically going out of their way to, of course, obviously mock Chris, make fun of him, in all the right ways. Like they were basically like pointing out about who he really is, and what they can do to push those limits even further to try and get more information out of him. And since he was such a gullible fucking idiot, he went out of his way to basically expose everything about him, from obviously his personal information, his IP address, everything that you could possibly see fit. And that is what practically made him into the laughingstock during that time period. But of course, the trolls did let this come to a close at one point, where they said, okay, guys, we've had our fun, let's move on, and so forth they did. So of course, during around the 2000s, that's when of course, okay, it's all blown over. Hopefully, Chris could have fucking learned from this. But of course, since all of us humans are both naive ourselves when it comes to situations like this, especially during that time period where where they even tried to where there was like certain people out there that were trying to get Chris to stay the fuck off the internet and get actual help, which of course his stubbornness basically politely told them to fuck off, and it didn't exactly go anywhere, now did it? And of course, now we're getting to the part during the 2010s where it goes from when it goes from hilarious to incredibly fucking sad and yet somewhat concerning, because this is where people start to obviously connect the dots of how Chris was obviously arrested. So of course, but before we get to that, we need to like start from the very beginning. So of course, during around the 2010s, Chris started to transition into a woman. Now, of course, in my personal opinion, I don't believe for a fact that he's actually transgender, and for good reason, because people out there, especially during his arrest, especially during his recent arrest, were basically saying, "Oh, you should respect his pronouns," despite the fucked up shit that he did. The thing is, though, I don't fucking see the point in even pronouncing his pronouns correctly, and I'm going to tell you why the fuck that is. Because Chris's mindset has always been focused on women. Because, as I mentioned before, his entire focus is getting laid. It's always been his goal. It's never about being in a relationship and getting married, having children, and just living the life. Like it's never been about that. In Chris's mindset, it's always been about how many women can I fuck, and that is one of the biggest problems with to know here as well is that Chris doesn't seem to understand why so many women rejected him, because he thought getting ideas from adult films to certain other pornographic materials, adult cartoons like South Park and Family Guy. He believed that this was the key way into getting a woman, and it backfired. It heavily fucking backfired. Nothing worked. And of course the whole transitioning into a woman, he thought okay, maybe if I like buy myself a fucking sports bra, let my hair grow out, and just put on a fucking dress without even putting any effort into making myself look like an actual feminine figure, maybe I can actually get myself a woman in my life, or a so-called boyfriend-free girl in his fucking words. But of course, again, that also fucking backfired. Nothing worked, and of course, things of course were going down a darker fucking path, because with the whole prophecy shit with Chris, especially with the whole Sonic franchise, which of course I've done a rant video on this particular topic before, where he flipped the fuck out over Sonic's arms being blue from that god awful Sonic Boom game. I think it's called Rise of Lyric, I think. But yeah, even he flipped his shit over that over a minor detail, making his arms blue, and just flipped his shit just like that. Like it literally shows you that the mental illness up here was increasing rapidly, and it was getting worse and worse and worse as time goes on, and it became more and more clear that he was practically a schizophrenic. Like he was like on the edge 24/7. Not just the fact that the trolls from the 2000s were basically mocking him for all the right reasons, but the trolls from the 2010s, however, are in a completely different left field here, because these guys, the 2010 trolls, the idea guys, for example, they knew how to manipulate Chris into doing their bidding, and it became such a horrible landslide for Chris to try and win to the point where Noel from Kiwi Farms had to step in to try and save his ass, and of course take control of his bank account before again the recent arrest before dropping out from it, But of course, it didn't stop there. The mental illness for Chris just practically got worse and worse, and people started to notice that Chris was going through not just through the learning disabilities, but also the fact, well, the high functioning disabilities as well, but also the fact that, the schizophrenia, and adding on top of that the split personality disorder, which is getting far fucking worse than you might expect, because when the split personality disorder started, Chris basically claimed that him and Sonichu can exchange consciousness, because all of a sudden Chris just started to believe the whole dimensional merge shit thanks to the idea guys. But in my personal perspective, I think Chris believed that the entire time. I personally think that the idea guys just encouraged it further. I think the idea guys basically just gave him like extra details into why he should continue to believe this shit. And of course, this is practically Chris's way of trying to cope with the real world, where he can stay as a child for the rest of his life, which is a very dangerous thing, because keep in mind this is like during a time period where Chris was about to reach 40, which of course in current times now he is of course 40. And when you look at it this way with Chris is with the whole split personality disorder, it at first people were waiting for him to break character, but as soon as it didn't seem to even come to pass, that's when people were like, okay, there is something going on here. There is something not fucking right with this guy, and people actually started to watch this shit unfold. They didn't connect the dots. Didn't connect the dots until later on. They started to realize that, oh shit, something's actually fucking going on here. And another thing that someone actually theorized was that Chris, having all these delusions and believing that all these fictional characters to be real in another world, he basically one particular theory actually came out during this time where someone theorized that Chris might be having seizures in his sleep, which of course might be continuing his delusions forward, which of course to anyone who has common sense like me, like having a seizure in your sleep and believing something to be real, we would go, oh okay, it's just like a silly dream, even though you don't know you're even having a seizure to begin with, because obviously your body is like completely numb, you're fast asleep, you have no idea what the fuck is going on. But in Chris's mindset, he's like, oh my god, Sonichu, Optimus Prime, Fox McCloud, they're all real guys, they're in another world, the dimensional merge will be happening very soon. And of course, people just like looked at him as the lunatic that he is, which of course, not trying to be offensive here, but he is. He's completely insane. But now we're getting to the part, of course, the current events of what happened with Christian, and this could be obviously the final part of the saga. Even during the next court hearing, which I hope to God actually does fucking happen, because there's been tons of continuances, which I think is absolute fucking bullshit in my opinion. But now we're getting to the good part of Chris doing the dirty deed with his mother. The dirty deed that involves, well, completely taboo bullshit. And of course, I'm referring to none other than incest. And not just incest, but also sexual assault, considering that the fact that his mom was also in a mentally unwell state. That she's been showing clear signs that she's suffering from, like I mentioned in my third Christian video, dementia. And of course, speaking of my third rant video, of course, I should mention that as I mentioned that was going to be my third and last rant video. This just like get out my thoughts and facts on why Chris became what he is. So now of course we're getting to the interesting part of this. So connecting now, people like me started to connect the dots 2 months after Chris's arrest, and of course those insane, like, unhinged letters that he was like posting out for the whole public to see, which, Jesus Christ, like no pun intended, like he has gone full fucking insanity. Like at first I thought he was just like pulling an excuse, like trying to get out of prison, like trying to pretend that he's like a reincarnation of Jesus Christ. But of course But of course, because it didn't seem to be the case. Like just the delusions and of course the split personality disorder increased because now he believes that he's some sort of all powerful deity who now suffers from a multi-personality disorder. And I'm going to tell you why the multi-personality disorder is quite a big thing in this, because it focuses on nothing more than just Chris's like unhinged belief into thinking that he's all these fucking characters that he created. And that's also a dangerous fucking thing to point out as well. Because in those letters, it's not only got the fucking dates on it, which obviously can be used against him in court, but the names right at the very end, obviously he's going by completely different names here. He's going by Jesus, Christian Western Chandler Sonichu, Jesus Christ, Magi-chan. It's going all over the place. Like his mind is going back and forth on which persona he wants to be. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And what's worse though, again, he doesn't break character, so this isn't fucking fake. Like he's like, it shows that there is something not right here at all, and it also kind of shows that he's mentally far gone. There's no way you can even save this man. He is completely gone from the face of the earth. So now we're getting to the part of course, obviously the porn addiction on why Chris became what he, on why Chris became the monster that he is today. Besides all the shit that I mentioned earlier. So of course, obviously this was going to be a long video. No surprise there. So of course, like I said, the timestamp of obviously if you reached it to where we are now, happy days. So now actually I guess a part of why Chris's porn addiction is very dangerous, or porn addiction, or just porn addiction in general is just dangerous altogether, to be honest with you. So all of us here have watched porn before. Like, all of us have fucking done it. Like, we can't be hypocrites about that shit. Oh, excuse me. Ooh, do apologize about that. Anyway, the problem is with Chris is that he wants to know what sex was like. He wants to understand the the way on how to get a woman to be in his bed. Unfortunately, of course, like I said, didn't go in his favor. But of course, we've already mentioned that. However, the two specific genres that he was watching was straight and lesbian porn. Now, of course, everyone's seen that genre, which, okay, not a problem. As long as it's two consensual adults, then not a problem at all. Like, of course, we've all watched that shit before. However, the addiction behind it is what makes this such a downslope, because they become somewhat of a fetish for Chris. And it becomes quite a dangerous one at that. And if you connect the genre and the fetishes together in one big loop, it goes around in that same loop over and over and over again, and it doesn't stop. It keeps going and going and going and going and going until one day it breaks. It just breaks apart because Chris's mind is no longer satisfied. It needs something different, and of course he moves on, which of course some would argue that he might be bisexual, might be gay. Not a problem at all. Not a problem with that, right? So of course, obviously the whole genre shit. Yeah, again, transgender and gay porn. He was watching that, which of course became not only an addiction, but also a very addictive fetish as well. Going in a brand new loop, same one as the previous one, but keeps going in that same loop over and over and over again until eventually, bam, that also breaks. But here's where people actually start to connect the dots after his arrest, and it actually starts to make a lot of sense as to why he sexually assaulted his mother. And this is actually the one fetish that actually stuck with him throughout his entire brain, and what's worse, it kept on going through that loop, and what's worse is that said loop did not fucking crack. It stayed where it is, because Chris was constantly watching incest porn, and of course he had early access to the internet at a very, very, very early age. not so much an early age, but more like an early year standpoint. I would say, because during around, I would say, the mid and late 90s, the internet was still in its infancy, and of course, degenerate porn was out there for everyone to see. Of course, nowadays it's still out there. It's obviously, been shadow banned by, of course, websites like Google and Ask.com and all that shit, But of course, his mindset went straight to incest after he got bored of those specific genres. And like I said, to make matters worse, that loop didn't break. It wasn't just like made out of like concrete or wood or anything along those lines. It was made out of fucking steel or titanium. That's how difficult it was to make it like snap open. Like the only way you could do that was make the whole damn thing melt. That was the only thing that you could do. And unfortunately, there was like no tools for that to happen, because unfortunately, Chris's sexual fetishes, again, were never enough. And of course, the whole incest shit was encouraging him to basically say, okay, Chris, fuck the entire world. No one fucking likes you. You might as well take advantage of this one weak, feeble individual right in front of you, who so happens to be part of your fucking bloodline. And that's exactly what he fucking did. He went out of his way to sexually assault his mother simply because nothing that he was like getting off to wasn't even satisfying. It was essentially along the lines of just okay. Taking advantage of weak and feeble people is the way to go, and that's how Chris is. And the thing is, of course, to anyone like me, never fucking do that, because that is fucked up on numerous fucking levels. But the whole sexual fetishes online. Again, Chris is just one example of that. There's countless examples on the internet who have a similar type of shit or something far worse than incest. Which, of course, yeah, incest is fucking bad. But again, some people who have a fetish that's far worse than Chris's. Like again. Anyone who has that type of shit online, regardless if it is something like degenerate like that, or if it's based on like a fictional medium, this is why you need to fucking stop. Because more than likely what the results are going to be is you actually physically harming someone, and that could lead you to a dark fucking rabbit hole that can destroy your life completely. And Chris is an example of the worst that you can be. Never end up like this fucking prat. Never end up like the monster that he became. Now, of course, never say never, because there will be another Christian in the near future, which, of course, of course, won't happen today or tomorrow. But one day there's gonna be another Christian out there somewhere who's gonna do the exact same shit, if not similar to what he did. And that is why anyone who's becoming an upcoming parent, please, for the love of fucking God, do not let your kid end up like them. If your kid is doing insane shit, stop them. And I mean literally stop them, because they're gonna end up like Chris or something far fucking worse. And you could be the creator of a monster that you did not want to fucking physically form together. Okay? So please don't fucking do that. Alright guys, so don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, and tell me what are your thoughts on the whole scenario with Christian. Give me your opinions, whether you agree or disagree, doesn't really matter. But yeah, thanks for all for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.